G'day and welcome to this week's FriBaT, Friday Beers and Tools. This week we've got another one of the Bolter beer range. This is the Bolter Captain Sensible. Put the glasses on. This is a mid-strength beer. 3.5% alcohol beer volume. Happy Friday. Bolter Brewing don't actually say a real lot about their beer, except that it's mid-strength and it's easy drinking. It doesn't even say on the can what they expect it to be. Captain Sensible, like contributing to your super fund with the pleasure of riding in a supercharged jet ski. The ale balances refined malt undertones against vivacious hop tones, notes to round out a full taste and mouthfeel that defies its mid-strength nature. Perfect for those who like to keep a lid on it but still want to crack the top off a couple. I guess it's a sort of a pale ale to me, although it's a little bit maltier than a normal pale ale, quite hoppy as well, but not overly so. It's quite sweet, that sort of sweet maltiness, but there's also a little bit of sort of honey there, which is different. I guess it'd be a really nice beer if you want to go out to dinner and you have to drive home. Having a couple of those, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Still a nice. It's quite a good full flavoured beer. It's not overly carbonated, but it's nice, good level. It's probably a little bit hoppier than what I like, but some people like the little bit hoppy, more hoppy taste. But like I said, it's still not overly hoppy. It's pretty hard finding a nice mid-strength craft beer, but that one's nice. So, on my Spanner scale, what do I give the Bolter Captain Sensible? I think that's a solid 4 out of 5 for me, for a mid-strength. Pretty good. Okay, this week's first tool is from Amazon and is another handy addition to my fault finding kit, I guess you'd say. It is a Lisle brand, which you all know that I quite like Lisle brand. It's made in America, from memory. Clarinda, Iowa. Anyway, that's the Lisle brand spark plug tester, inline spark tester. What does it do? Well, when fault finding an engine with a petrol engine, of course, with spark plugs, if an engine has a miss, it's often difficult to determine whether or not it's an electrical miss or whether it's something caused mechanically, valves, fuel, or even something with piston. I generally hear it when it's a piston. Having an inline spark plug tester helps do that fault finding and helps break it down your fault finding quite easily. What does it do? Well, basically it just extends the lead from either your distributor or your coil pack. Most modern cars now have coil packs, not very many have distributors anymore, showing my age there. And inside this glass bowl there is actually an air gap, which enables you to see a spark if that particular cylinder is sparking correctly. It does have a 90-degree boot and an extension portion to push down onto the spark plug, or rather connect the spark plug cable to the tester itself, and then push down onto the spark plug itself. It's not a particularly dear tool. It's not particularly technical, I guess you'd say, because there's no moving parts. It just consists of this glass, I think it might even be plastic, to be able to see the spark jump there. On Amazon, it is currently $20.41 delivered, which is a pretty darn good value. It comes highly rated on Amazon from those who have purchased it before. I've never owned a spark plug tester. I've generally done the old long nose pliers and holding the cable next to the engine block and looking for a spark, and sometimes you get a pretty good belt through the pliers. So this is a smarter way of doing it, and a more correct way. The spark actually still travels to the spark plug as well, so that's also good. I'll put a link down in the description below if you think that you need to add this to your kit. And again, GRAYZBILDZ get a small kickback from Amazon if you purchase through there. You don't pay any extra. Still $20.41, so please consider that. Lisle make really nice quality gear. It's not like a lot of the Chinese rubbish. It's actually well manufactured. It's designed to last. Pretty rare nowadays for things that are designed to last. And it's not particularly dear at $20.41. It's probably a little bit dear compared to what my Yank mates pay in the US, but $20 for this type of tool in Australia is pretty good value, and we know the Lisle quality. Alright, so let's talk about value for money first on my beer scale. Value for money at $20.41. It's not a dear tool. Do you need it in your kit of tools? No, not really, but it is handy to have, especially if you're doing fault finding on vehicles, petrol vehicles. $20, not a dear tool, handy to have. 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. Handy to have. The Lisle Inline Spark Tester functionality, I think it's a nice bit of kit, and I expect that it will work exactly as it's advertised. So I don't see any reason not to give it a 5 out of 5 beers for functionality. Pretty reasonable value as well. Second tool for this week is another Amazon tool. On a lot of vehicles nowadays, especially head bolts are what they call torque to yield, or stretching head bolts. Traditionally, with a torque wrench, you would torque a head bolt down to a certain level, and that was it. Some may have a two-step torque. A lot of head bolts nowadays are torque to yield, which means that they stretch as they're going in. That also means that they're single use only. Many manufacturers, many vehicle manuals for maintenance, etc., give you an initial torque setting on your torque wrench for head bolts, for example, and then they may say 90 degrees extra or 180 degrees extra. And this is where this little tool comes in handy. This is an OEM Tools, which is made in China, angle gauge. A lot of the modern digital torque wrenches now have an angle ability in them, so they will you can dial in the torque level, and then you can actually say 90 degrees further, and then it will either beep or a light comes on or whatever. This is a mechanical way of doing it, and all this does is it connects to your torque wrench on top, and then underside, it's a 1/2 inch drive of course, underside connects to your socket going to your bolt that you're torquing up, and the outer dial moves so that you can zero it, and then if you have to do a 90 degree torque, it accurately enables you to move the torque wrench around to this pointer. It comes around to 90 degrees or 180 degrees or whatever the manufacturer's specifications call for. As I mentioned, it is another Amazon tool, and I'll put a link to purchase it down below. It is made in China, but it is very nicely made. I have bought a few of these OEM Tools brand, and they seem to be pretty good quality, and it seems to be well made and not the usual Chinese junk. It's not dear. It's $18.77 delivered, and as I mentioned, if you've got the money, buy a torque wrench which has got the angle function in it, but generally they're pretty expensive. I've got a multitude of torque wrenches, digital and traditional, analog, I guess you'd say, torque wrenches, and I think this is a really good way to go. No batteries to go flat. It's simple, it works, and it's logical. It does have half-inch drive, as I mentioned, and yeah, and obviously can be used right up to 360 degrees, which of course you probably would never do, but the option's there. So at $18.77, value for money, I'd say it's a 5 out of 5. Do you need it? If you're working on modern cars, yes, you do need some sort of way of telling 90-degree or accurate angles when torquing things. So at $18.77, it's pretty good value to add to your kit. You can do it by eye. It's not as accurate. I like accuracy, being an aviation technician, and so having the ability to accurately tell what angle I'm moving it to is handy. So for value for money, I'm going to go 5 out of 5 beers. For functionality, it's simple, it's basic, it's well made. I don't see there being any problems in using it. I expect it to last a long time if it's treated with care, like all measuring tools should be. They're not part of your normal throwing, hammers, spanners, etc. We don't throw measuring tools ever. So for functionality, it's a 5 out of 5 as well. Recommended. Well, that's it for this week's FriBaT. Thanks for stopping by and having a beer with me. Bolter's not bad. The more I drink it, the more I like it. Please consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Really appreciate you watching, especially to the end. And I'm getting very close to my magic 1,000 figure, which is very important to me in retirement, so that I can actually start getting a little bit of ad revenue out of Google. But thank you very much for watching. See you next week.